I can ask a few, you can ask a few questions. Maybe
Ina Andulong of CNN.
we will be finished by 6 o'clock in the morning. I am much, I have to do this because the public must be informed. Whether it is really angled on such this direction or that, the people should decide what is true and correct. Yes, Ina.
Good morning, sir, and welcome back. Sir, ano po ang status ngayon ni Mary Jane Veloso? Was her status discussed in your meetings in India?
This was one of the topics of our conversation during, everybody was excluded, and there were a lot to cover about security arrangements, including the Filipinos who are in jail facing charges in Indonesia. There are matters that I cannot tell you now. I'm sorry, I am not at liberty, but maybe I can talk to the family first. Before anything else, it would be improper, really, for me talking about it before I get hold of the family and tell them the developments of the case.
Sir, in your speech to the Filipino community in Jakarta, you talked about China's help in assisting the rehabilitation phase of your anti-drug drive. Can you be a bit more specific on that? Will it come in the form of a donation, a grant,
No.
a loan, and will their help be limited only to Fort Magsaysay?
There will be plenty, and China has committed to help us. I do not think that it just places its limits there. The thing is, I uttered it in a summit when everybody was, except the members, were excluded. And I said that we have this problem about, a serious, grave problem about drugs. And I informed the body that, as a matter of fact, China has offered its help, to which we responded with gratitude. We need it. Well, short, I said, I entered the presidency midterm. Wala na tayong mga capital expenditures. Puro MOE. Mga MOE, mga ano na lang, sweldo ganon. So, this budget that I'm operating now was prepared the other year. So, it is implemented this year. No one ever expected about the hugeness of the problem of drugs. I thought all the while that I was controlling drugs in the city of Davao fairly well. But sometimes with, the drawbacks of being, you blurt some threats and intimidation, but I think it's legal and necessary. It is never wrong. I repeat, it is never wrong to threaten criminals. Whatever is the end game of a particular incident or an event, it does not really matter. It is perfectly all right. As far as I'm concerned, as your president and a lawyer, that I have every right to threaten criminals. How it develops to the end game is another problem. So, sinabi ko and of course we discussed human rights. And I think I deserve a few applauses. That you are not there, I am not at liberty, and I do not want to pick a fight with any nation now. That is farthest from my mind. I only want to be at peace with everybody, doing business with everybody, and no quarrels with anybody. Yes.
Sir, last from me. Speaking of peace, can you share with us maybe your brief chat with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon? We understand you were able to meet him for a while.
Yes, but just about But he was seated beside me, and he had a long. I said since everybody was excluded, it means to say that it is not for public consumption. But he did mention about human rights, and I responded fairly well, and addressed myself to the body, and I said, maybe I am not the person that would pull his own chair, but I said. You can congratulate me a little bit, but not that much. The most important, I think, that the message I sent to everybody was in this prepared speech. We will, in our foreign relations with the world, the Philippines will pursue an independent foreign policy. We will observe, and I must insist, I repeat, I must insist on the time-honored principles of sovereign equality, non-interference, and commitment to peaceful settlements of disputes to best serve our people and to protect the interests of the country. I think that was the most telling words that I could have uttered in any international gathering. It does not offend anybody, but it sends a message that we have every right to pursue an independent foreign policy without interference. Yes.
Lala Pabelonia of PTV4.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Sir, how was your meeting with Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin? And second question is, what's the status now of the maritime dispute between China and the Philippines? I'm talking about, sir, the planned bilateral talks. So when can we look forward to it?
Well, everybody was concerned about the China issue. It was not only the Philippines. I think, if I may have that maybe escape notice of everybody, especially ASEAN countries, about the conflict, that it would not go out of control and will not result in any military confrontation. But I assured everybody that there are only two options there. You go to war and pick a fight, which we cannot afford at all, or talk. And because also of the desire of everybody to avoid any regional conflict that might not really be good at all, we have been very consistent that we can only talk about this issue in peace, and we avoid challenging and expressions of anger, because after all, you cannot solve this problem with anger. You have to talk with sense, and we appeal to the humanity of the fellow in front of you.
Last question from Jeff Caparas of...
Yes, again.
One more?
Yes, ma'am, ikaw yung nag-raise ng hands.
Hi, sir, you didn't answer.
I'll give you additional 10.
I'm sorry. How did your meeting with Russian Prime
Putin?
Yes, po.
I
About
did not
terrorism.
answer it purposely because I wanted it secret.
Okay.
So, well, we had a talk with my contingent, and okay, that's all. I mean, we had the talk because there were fellows in front of me, but when the talk got serious, I said, could everybody, including the security, get out of the room? I want to talk to my friend, Midweb. Kaibigan na pala kami. So, sabi ko, sige, chika-chika tayo. So, what's up? Ano ganito yan, Rod? Tapos, ganyan. Hanggang dito, tapos ganon dito tayo. Sabi ko, okay ka, Adre? I enjoyed every minute of our talk. The things that we shared with each other, there's nothing to do with alliances, military, or confrontation. We just wanted to have business relations, economics. You know, war is no longer the vogue of the moment. It's not the practice anymore. We should avoid war. We should avoid conflicts. I am a peaceful man now after the ASEAN. I am not into rest in peace, but I am quite comfortable with the situation now after talking to everybody.
One more question from Lala.
Yes, ma'am. Let's give everybody a chance.
Sir-
Total, papunta rito, natulog ba rin kami? Kayo. I could hear the snoring of, ayaw ko sabihin. Yes, ma'am. May I help you?
Sir, I'm sorry, another question regarding Mary Jane Veloso. Did President Joko Widodo show kahit a little bit of willingness lang na i-consider na wag na i-execute si Mary Jane Veloso?
Well, I said there are things which I cannot divulge now because it will not be in keeping with good manners and right conduct. Let me talk to the family first. Kasi mat-telegraph mo na, if I say something here, I'll be telegraphing my message. Whether it is really good or bad, you have to consider the feelings of the family first.
All right, thank you, sir.
Jeff Caparas, TV5.
Hi, sir. Welcome back, sir. Sir, I think it's safe to assume now na hindi po kayo galit sa amin after what happened before po kayo umalis. But for the record, sir, galit po ba kayo sa amin, sir?
Galit
after
sa kanino?
Sa amin, sir, sa media. Because on what happened sa remarks. And for the record din, sir, do you
Sabi
think...
ko nga, tanggalin niyo yung escalator, palakarin niyo doon sa likod. Sila lahat. Karga-karga nila yan. Of course, I am not at liberty to be angry at anybody. It is your sworn duty to ask questions. It is also my obligation to the people for the money spent of this trip and for all of the things that would cost the Filipino. I have to make an official report, not now, but initially, these are the things that I can say. Wala akong galit sa inyo. Alam mo, I was here. You were here. I never attribute any statement to anybody. I was complaining about the situation, but I never directed any statement that was insulting or otherwise not good. Si Ed Lingao, he was the anchor at the time when there was this breaking news. And he apologized, and I accept his apology. And he should not worry because sometimes you commit errors. Wala akong question dyan. If the other side interpreted it in a way they wanted it, problema nila yan. I mean that's it. After all, I am not a player of the international community. I said I only answer to the Filipino people. I do not aspire to be a character there. But you know very well that I never said it attributing it to anybody. I said, I remember that huwag ninyong gawain sa akin yan. Magka-insultuhan tayo. I never mentioned any particular. So, I hope they realize it by now. And let me again in our relations to the world, this is the third time, the Philippines will pursue an independent foreign policy. And we will observe, and I must insist, on the time-honored principles of sovereignty, sovereign equality, non-interference, and committed to the peaceful settlement of disputes. I do not answer, maybe to the press, for information. But I do not have an obligation to please everybody or to please one person. But whatever a Filipino, I am at your service because I work for you. I receive my keep for the day from the pocket of the people. Para kung sabihin mo na I have this, I have to explain, and that is why it went well. Nauna ako. So I raised the ante. Immediately, that's my character. Ikaw, may gusto kang sabihin sa akin? Okay. Here's my card. Ganun ako, kasi sa politika. Tinatapon ko agad baraha ko, open, Anong gusto mo? Ganun ako sa politika. Bakit? Baka i-divert na naman nyo doon sa, yung akin, sa loob ko lang sa isip ko. O, anong gusto mo? Ito yung baraha ko. Hawak ko yung alas. Ayan o. Anong gusto mong sabihin? Hindi ko ginagawa yan, but if I'm sure that it is the way how it should develop, then it brings the worst in me, or it brings out the best of me. Depende kung saan. I'm sure that if you're a Filipino, you'd be proud of me. Well, of course, for the low life sa press, yung mga kolumnista, nothing is really too good to be true. Hayaan mo yan sila. And I said, I leave him with that problem. But I said, I have always in mind the dignity, not me personally. You can destroy me, can attack me, criticize me. But when it comes to hindi lang kasi nila inisip itong mga low life dito that what is really at stake is the country. Kaya ako, when it comes to yung mga moments of it is where I really do not know the best or the worst in me. Pero hindi kayo napahiya. I assure you, and everybody was clapping except for dalawa. But, believe sila sa akin. Ang tayo, gano'n nga pa. Yung malakas pati tayo lang. Si President Widor, and it's indecent. Shaking with joy that I decided to just talk with sense and the truth. Yes.
Last question.
Sir, sino po yung dalawa, sir? To be clear.
Na ganon?
Hindi po malakpak, sir.
Nakalimutan ko. Let me recall the seating arrangement. Baka bakante adre. Baka sa washroom.
Sir, follow-up lang, referring to the incident, sir. Sa tingin niyo po, sir, with that incident, sino po yung maaaring nagkamali? Not to point fingers, sir, no? Was it the sender, the source, or the receiver, sir?
You know, people commit mistakes. Some with malice, some without malice. If it's just a mere shortfall of talent, hayaan mo na. But I appreciate the apology of Ed Lingaw. I said I accept it and I salute you. But do not hesitate to attack me, criticize me if I do wrong in my job. It is your duty to your country. As I have my duty to the people to serve you. Huwag kayong if I do not feel talking to you, then sorry, I'm not in the mood because you committed the mistake. But I would like to presume that you did it without malice. Kasi trabaho yan. So I would just say, kaya mga kamera dyan, kayong kumukuha dyan, hindi ka nakapapakpak kayo dyan. You know why? Because it is a recorded history. Every day that you press that on button in your camera, you record the history of this country. Kaya importante kayo. Baka minamaliit ninyo yung role ninyo in the entire gamut of media. You are recording the history of this country. Someday, pag nila ng ganon, tapos walang lumabas na blur, ay anak ka nang natulog siguro yung gago doon sa ano. Pero with an accurate and true representation of what's going on, I said, saludo. And because it is embedded in the Constitution, the freedom of the people to be informed and a media that is there to find out the true and accurate. You portray history. Kaya ako istrikto. And when I said that corruption will stop, it will stop. Maniwala kayo. And even if I have to, it will stop. Huwag ninyo, to all government, huwag ninyo akong hiyain dito. Kakasahan ko talaga kayo. Mapahiya ako eh. When I said there will be no more corruption, there will no more be searches yan pagdating ng mga lalo na yung mga himayarap. Masikmura ako pa yung milyonaryo na hingian mo na magdala ng ilang brilyantes pati diamonds yan. And it is a thriving business actually. And we know all the people, but I said, time will catch up with them. Pero yung returning dito na kunan mo yung perfume na isang, mag-hold up ka na lang ng milyonaryo. Ako ang bigay ng baril sa iyo. Pero pagkatapos, barilin rin kita. Kasi hold upper nga eh. At totoo, huwag ninyong galawin ang maliit na tao. Kasi sila yung nangailangan ng gobyerno. For the rich and famous and for the oligarchy, they don't need a president at all. They don't need the Secretary of Justice there. They can buy it. They don't need Lorenzana to do his job. If there's trouble here, they can always fly out. Tayo din dito na maiwan. Kayo. Kasi kung may pera tayo, hindi tayo nakikita dito ngayon. You're there in your comfortable what? In your space there for you. So, huwag din ninyo galawin yung talagang kailangan nila ang gobyerno. Yung, let me warn again, you guys in the business sector, I do not want to quarrel with you. I will protect you. I said, there will no more be shakedowns in the customs and in the BIR. I'm warning you again. But with all the protection that this government is giving you, you continue with the contractualization, magka-diferensya talaga tayo. And one day, I might just decide to go to you and close your store there and say, you're a... Ilang beses na yan. Huwag ninyong abusuhin ang tao kasi ang Pilipino matagal na talagang you go to LTO, he has to shell out money. You get a copy of his birth certificate, hingi ano. This will stop and maybe I will have cameras for yung mga incorrigibles, the intransigence of the office, I'll place cameras there. Like a Gestapo. And it's perfectly all right for me. Why? This is government. This is not a private enterprise. There's no such thing as violation of privacy there. It's only when you enter the comfort room that maybe there's that limitation. Kung sa gobyerno ka, it must be open. Lalo na yung sa airport, customs, quarantine, immigration. You know, I'm planning to put an extension office of the lahat. National government. I plan to put it in Basilan or Rolo. Be my guest. I would only be too happy to assign you there. Magkahiyaan kasi tayo. Mapapahiya ako. I promise the people this. and with the hindi na sa kung Bisaya ba na makapahuway ang tao sa iyang kalisod. There has been no respite in the hardship of the Filipino. Whatever economic gains, barely enough to improve the situation, it would be okay for me. Kung hanggang dyan lang talaga that's why I tried my very best to look presentable there. Nagbili pa ako ng ready-made na suit. Maluwang masyado, kaya nagbili ako ng suspender. Mahulog man. Tapos nagkamali naman ako, pumayat ata ako. So mahulog, sabi ko na, di sila sa yan. Suspender na ako. Kasi pag ganun ko, pag lakad ko, hanggang dito na, bili ka ng suspender ron. Komporta yan. Parang gusto ko na. That's how hindi ako nagpapatahi ng mahal. Yung ready, Indonesian size. Okay na. Lagyan nila ng kurbata. Hindi rin ako magrunong. Ito nang, sir, ako na nakalimutan ko na yung puta, baka maganong ko ba? Si hang yourself. Yes, maybe a few more questions so that nobody is left out here. I do not want to play patsy with anybody.
Okay. Hi, sir. I'm Salima Refran of GMA7. Sir, welcome back to Davao.
Thank you.
But, sir, 1 week na po from the Davao
Bakit nalagyan mong bat yung welcome mo?
Medyo malungkot kasi, sir, yung tanong ko. I'm so sorry. Pero, yun nga, sir, you've been away, but have you been receiving reports of the investigation, and what do you know so far? Investigation, sir, of the Davao blast, of the Rojas Night Market.
We're pursuing leads. Too early to be talking about it. I said, do not ask me questions that would telegraph the substance of what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
It's, as a matter of fact, it's a national security issue. But I said, I guarantee you, there will be a day of reckoning. There will be more because of retaliation, reprisals. But there will be maybe more blast, but there will be a day of reckoning. Bantayan.
Sir, sorry, this is a personal question.
Yes.
Nakaligo
na ako. What's so personal about it?
No, sir.
Do I smell
the
good?
other day po, si Mayor Sara
Yes.
announced that she lost 2 of the triplets. She said na hindi pa daw po kayo nakakapag-usap. I'm so sorry, sir.
Baski nung una pa yan, it took her a long time to be pregnant and, with the medical intervention. When somebody called me, I went to the bathroom and sa labas kasi nasa labi kami. I cried. These are the things in life na cannot be assuaged by just, you have to heal yourself. Anyway, thank you for asking. Kasi sabi ko nga, the right of the people to be informed. She's an employee of government. I'm a public employee of the national. We're just workers in government. Yes. Any more questions?
Okay. Good evening po, Mr. President. Welcome back. I'm Mark Okay from Bombo Radio Davao. Mr. President, since the Philippines has already accepted the chairmanship for 2017 ASEAN Summit, will Davao City be an ideal venue for the 2017 Leaders Summit, Mr. President?
That is a very relative question. It would depend on the security of Davao City. I would have to listen to the military and the police for an accurate assessment. We do not want any bloody thing here, I'm sure. So, but during the, and I have stated my case very clearly. We are in a state of lawlessness. I do not need any additional power. If you use the word, pangtakot lang yan. I do not need it. I do not need anything. Except that you know, alam ninyo na there is lawlessness in the country, period. And I will just exercise the powers of the presidency the natural way. Law and order and stricter measures. Now, itong panasabi kong lawlessness, kasi kailangan ko kasi, there will be some checkpoints in the highway. Alam mo kasi, ang mga tao minsan pinapagalitan yung police, some lawyers would say, this is a violation. You know, if you start to say that, and there is a state of lawlessness, you will just force our hands into it. Magduda na tuloy ako sa iyo na may tinatago ka. Eh, kung sabi ka, yes. Take your time and see for yourself. Because we are, you know, trying to catch up with the guys holding the... And it will be too late just to explain. So there is a Supreme Court ruling on that. But in a state of lawlessness, I feel that I have to do some extra mile of putting things in order. Because be stricter, and maybe the airlines could, you know, advise the commuters for them to arrive at the airport earlier. Kasi minsan naman kasi yung, I am not trying to offend anybody. Kasi magsabi na talaga, departure time 5:15, dito pa sila magdating ng 5:15. By the time ang piloto nakatutok na sa dead end sa runway, so maybe a little bit earlier because there will be more searches. And I can impose that because I have to protect public. You know, bombs and this kind of things in our lives today, these are public interest, protect the people. Public health. When you are a victim of a blast somewhere, you would need money and hospitalization and national security reasons. Maraming involved dyan public interest. You want to keep this country peaceful. It's a job of government. But it could also become a public health issue because you would need hospitalization or amputation or anything that, you know, the victims of the old, it could affect everybody. Dysfunctional families. Wala ng tatay. Alam mo ba nga hanggang ngayon ako pa ang gobyerno, mabutit na lang, after a long period of time, the hands of the, I mean, the political, ano dito is, ako pati yung anak ko. So we continued with the assistance, marami nang nag-nurse, mga anak, marami nang nag-engineer. But yung mga infants pa to noon, we still carry the burden of paying for their education. Nawala ang tatay nila, nawala ang nanay. So it could affect our pockets, which money intended for better use. Yan, it's a drain financially, gobyerno, public health. And you consider the amputees who are walking with crutches. Hindi lang kasi it's the most, actually, it's the most despicable and odious behavior. Hindi man naman sabi ko, nag-arte lang kay ganon-ganon. Well, I said, whether they believe it or not, whether it is for a pretended sentiment, I have warned our soldiers and the police. Shoot only once. And if it's finished, do not destroy the body. Do not mutilate the body. Because we cannot do that. We have to have the higher ground. if you follow them and started also to behead everybody, anak na, then I should not be in government. I belong to the slaughterhouse. Magtagtad ng karne dyan. Always we take the higher ground. Even it means something like, hindi tayo takot. I'm not afraid. I have the army. I have the armed forces. I have the police. Bakit ako matatakot? But there is certainly a set of values that we have to adapt. And one of these is that just to be civilized. Sabi ko nga sa kanila, do not go into the war or a battle kung may galit ka. Kasi dapat kung magtangka, you must be cool. And that's why they are trained. Kung magpasok sila ng bakbakan dyan, tapos galit sila, then you abandon, you throw caution to the winds. And you just there, matapang ka kasi may galit ka. Kali patay ka. Anything else?
Ayan Melior of Philippine News Agency.
You might want to ask me what is the agenda for next visit for any country. You'd want to ask that question?
Yes, sir. Just on the elaboration of independent foreign policy, which issues or areas, and was there an initial commitment on the common policies, and which areas?
There is no commonality of interest here. It should cover all aspects of governance and international relations. In our country, it is the president who takes care of the foreign policy. President, it's in the Constitution. Akin talaga yan. And you can be very sure that this power given to me by the Constitution will be used only to promote the best interest of the Republic of the Philippines. Nothing more.
So after this, the two-day summit, sir, what will be the prospects of when Philippines hosts the 50th anniversary of ASEAN?
Well, I cannot answer your hypothetical question because it will greatly depend on the severity and what's the interest involved. But I said I can only use it, the principle behind it, to promote the best interest. If it is for the best interest of the Filipino people, I will do it. But if it does not result to anything, and maybe to the road to perdition, that's crazy.
Last question from Ruth Dumandan.
Hello, Mayor. Welcome home. And I'd like to ask, Mayor, how would you assess your first foreign trip as president? And what's next? Do you receive any invitations?
I cannot assess myself before you. It would be self-serving and I would just be pulling my own chair. So let the other, you might want to, if you happen to travel abroad, you might want to ask the guys from Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and those who palakpak hardest. Well, after that, but it is not a thing to brag about. It's just saying that I am happy that I was able to do it during my first. These are the things that I can sleep soundly well tonight, thinking. I would sleep on it, thinking that the thought that I have served my country to the best, the way I can. But to end this, I have a saying. But go ahead with the last question.
Yes, Mayor. Rockstar ka nga daw eh. What's the international community wants to see from the Philippines, Mayor?
Well, I say a posture of confidence that we are able to deliver what we are obligated to. We have been known unfairly as a country that does not honor contracts. That's the popular view of the investors. There are so many contracts on the pipeline, on deck, but never used, or it was never, there was the obligations under the contracts were abandoned. This time you must have honor to do it. There's also a provision in the Constitution itself against the impairment of contracts. Kaya nagsibat yung iba noon kasi approved na ng NEDA, approved na when it reaches a certain office there. It's never implemented or ang worst pa nito is they waive the waiver of so many things in government involving huge money. Masakit yan. Accruing to the country but being waived for what, I don't know what reason. Your guess is as good as mine. So I am not a fan of the Americans in the sense that nobody shares my sentiment for the Filipino. First and last, Filipino talaga. Everybody else comes 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10, mamili na sila. Pag-agawa na lang sila. But let me quote my favorite si lawyer, and he was really a politician par excellence. And I refer to Abraham Lincoln. And my favorite, actually, are his words when he said, I will do my best, my very best, because I have to serve the country. And but I cannot remember the exact words, but let me look at a lady, and I would be able to. He said, yeah, but the beginning is something like, no, I memorized it for my inauguration. Wala, nakalimutan ng agad. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can. And if the end brings me out wrong, 10 angels of God swearing I was right, would make no difference. Still wrong. But at the end, if it brings me all right and right, then that is it. That is your reward for being right. Hanggang dyan lang. So yan lang kasi. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. If the end brings me out, all right, what is said against me won't amount to anything. Total, wala nang matalo except the people. But if the end brings me out wrong, 10 angels of God swearing I was right. Wrong is wrong. So with that, I would like to thank you for being here so late. It's 2 o'clock. And I appreciate it. Mabuhay ang Pilipino.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you so much. Good morning.
Sit down. Huwag mo nang tumalikod. Lincoln said na bumalik na ang gagong memory. Pakita kasi ng magandang babae. If I were to try to read, much lesser answer all attacks made on me, this shop, this presidency, might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can. If I have to answer all attacks, wala na akong gawin. Sirahan ko na lang yung opisina. If I were to try to read, much less answer all attacks made on me, this shop, the presidency, might as well be closed for any other business except to answer. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. If the end brings me out all right, what is said against me won't amount to anything. But if the end brings me out wrong, 10 angels of God swearing I was right would make no difference. Mali is mali. But if they are wrong in criticizing, you are paid to suffer. That's why you are paid. Now I realize the presidency, well, this really motivates me to go on. Were it not for my love of country, matagal na ako nagsabi, it's yours. Inyo na. Pagod na ako. Pagod na talaga. But you know, what impels me, motivates me is my love for country and the serious problem of drugs. 3,700,000 is not a joke. So instead of criticizing me, or tumulong ka na lang dito and observe protocol. You know, when I was mayor, it's good. I was just an insignificant player in the national life. There are so many cities you can choose where to pick a fight. But as president, is only one. And when you are just a, you know, I mean, you're a rapporteur or whatever, an advisor, national security, and you begin to expose statements. That is not good. That is not good. What if you will try to do the same? I said, if this president is... But I said, it will remain a secret unless there's a footage of it. But I saw none at all. But the delegates really were very happy. And I am happy that I said it publicly, though in a very limited crowd. Maraming salamat po.